From Memphis to Moolah to the AWA to the World Wrestling Federation to WCW, Sensational Sherri did it all in the ring, on the mic, and managing and looking as only she could look as one of the best to ever do it. Tragically, her life was cut short at the age of 49 through a combination of her own choices and just the fact that so many bumps, so many miles, and so many hardships. I really wish she was still here because how gifted was Sensational Sherri in nearly every facet of professional wrestling. I'm Joe Renton with my review, Dark Side of the Ring, Sensational Sherri. I was looking forward to this, and boy, there were some great goddamn moments, some great footage that they shared, some stuff I didn't know, even as a wrestling fan that has tried to do a deep dive into the history and find out more about some of my favorites. And Sherri always looked so good. She was incredibly gifted on the mic. I mean, listening to just how fired up she was, looking at her, you fucking believed it, and she believed it. And then you find out more about her personal life and the sacrifices she made. And really, age 49. Imagine if Sensational Sherri was still around. She would be in her mid-60s. She would still be able to offer advice, and if only she had been able to get her addictions under control, been able to get that surgery. I think she had a bad back. There's a lot of stuff that people did know and some stuff that people probably didn't. And this actually was one of the best episodes they've done in a while. And it was great that they had a lot of archival audio and even a little video from shoot interviews that she did. It just, that Hall of Fame speech, boy, Sherri was certainly absolutely blackout drunk, probably, I guess would be the best way to describe it, but she was so entertaining. Sherri always looked so good. I mean, I remember hating her when she managed Randy Savage, and I wasn't familiar with her AWA stuff until years later because of when I got into wrestling in 1985, and I saw a little bit of AWA, but seeing her managing Randy Savage and then Ted DiBiase and then Shawn Michaels. And I do remember the first time I really realized, she looks really goddamn good as about a 12-year-old kid was when she managed Harlem Heat or started managing Harlem Heat. And that actually fit like a custom-made glove. And we'll get into that. But this just was really good. That's been the overriding theme. Not just the best woman manager, I would argue one of the best managers, possibly on the Mount Rushmore. Possibly. I mean, yeah, if you're taking the totality of history of professional wrestling, there are others that are above her. But for a period, she would have been right there with Heenan. Like, looking at how the guys she managed, and then looking at obviously Heenan had the much more expansive career, mainstream and everything, working for Bruiser, working for Vern, working in WWF, and then transitioning to be a color commentator. I would love to have heard Sensational Sherri on commentary, but now Sherri was so goddamn great. The best female manager of all time. And up there, with some of the best. So I really wish that, God, I wish she was still here. But let's get into it. From wrestling to managing, she did all. The talking heads were great. Jim Cornette offered a lot of insight. Being there for the first part of her career, when he was just getting started, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, working a little bit with her in the WWF, I think. No, actually, he wasn't in the WWF when she got fired, I believe. If he was making any shots, I think she had gotten fired sometime in the summer, but she worked there, and they knew each other and always stayed in contact. Eric Bischoff was good in this, one of the rare times where he's been good and not giving into his own bullshit. Jake Roberts, who revealed some stuff I didn't know. You had Medusa, you had Kathy Fitzpatrick, who was Sherri's best friend. Leroy Gonzalez, who was her ex. And then you had Robin Smith, a.k.a. Rockin' Robin, and Jared, her son. And boy, a little bit more about him in a bit. And I don't mean in a bad way. I really feel bad for the kid. Or the young man. Or however old he is. Actually, I think he's a little bit older than me. Audio from Sherri. People asking how much of it is fake. Obviously, the results are predetermined. She was taking the bumps, getting slammed on concrete, getting slammed on the floor mats, jerked over, press slammed by Ultimate Warrior. All the bumps, all the miles, that's not fake. There's nothing fake about the shit. The results, sure. You do your best to make it look real without hurting each other. So Cornette, the footage of her and Cornette when Cornette was just getting started in wrestling, and as a manager, it was in September of '82. So September, October of '82 that he managed her for a brief stint. He said, "You're greener than goose shit. That'd be even worse. How could this possibly go wrong?" And we bonded over that. And that's funny. That's some funny quippage right there. I don't think quippage is actually a word, but I'm just going to make it up. AWA, WWF, and the like. She went all over the world. Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Her mom took her there. It was like some cattle barn that held wrestling. Jake Snake Roberts met her when he was a referee. I can talk, I swear. When he was 18, she was 17. I did not know they had an on-again, off-again thing. I did not know that. Not that it was any of my business, I just didn't know. And he was a referee in Mid-South. Was it even called Mid-South when Jake was doing the refereeing? Genuine question, because Bill Watts didn't get Oklahoma until... He actually didn't get a couple states until Leroy McGurk, thankfully, died. That piece of shit. Read up on Leroy McGurk if you want to know what I got to say about, or want to know why I say he's a piece of shit. But, I did not know that they had an on-again, off-again thing. Whatever it is, what it is. She wanted to be a star, much like Mia Goth and Pearl, with slightly less danger of being stabbed by a pitchfork. I don't know. Sherri seems like the kind that would do that if you crossed her. So, Grizzly Smith, oh boy. Read or check out my review of the Grizzly Smith episode if you really want to know what I got to say about that guy. That miserable motherfucker that didn't deserve to live as long as he did. Come back when you're 21. That way I won't want to touch you. He liked to touch young girls, including in his own family. Like Robin. The fact that she overcame that, oh boy. So she was working at a strip club, met Leroy, they got married. Her drug use was well known. Even then, party drugs. It was the 70s, disco fever, yeah. Can't do that at all. And they had a kid, Jared, July of 1978. So yeah, he would be a bit older than me since I was born January of 1981. Left when the kid was about 3 months old because she wanted to become a wrestler. Butch Moore was some guy that was known as an outlaw wrestler. I don't know who the fuck Butch Moore is. Oh, she wants to be a wrestler. He slapped her. She's like, "Is that all you got?" Cornette's even like, "What the fuck is that?" And actually, she was a little bit old for his wheelhouse, is what Jake said about, Sherri in regards to Grizzly. And, yeah, Grizzly Smith, piece of shit. She trained with Moolah. Speaking of pieces of shit, look, Moolah had a hell of a goddamn career, was influential for good and bad, but was a piece of shit, and deserved to rot in hell, and is rotten in hell for what she did. All the abuse and all the stuff that she did to all those women. Many people were not fans of her. Some will defend her, and that's fine. They can defend her. To the very end. You do whatever the fuck you want. So, Leroy tried to get her to come back home, hired a PI, and then 3 big guys showed up and said, "Sherri belongs to us. All your Sherri are belong to us." I don't know if that actually happened, but I mean, whatever. It sounds cool. And then, AWA stint. She wrestled on the first Super Clash. I'm trying to remember who the fuck she wrestled. Help me. I've gone blank. That only so much room on my notes. But yeah, she wrestled there, Comiskey Park, 20,000 people, and then Vern basically stiffed other people. A promoter stiffing others that he co-promoted with? What? Don't know why I say it like that. But she managed Playboy Buddy Rose and Pretty Boy Playboy Buddy Rose and Pretty Boy Doug Summers. Is that what it was? I forgot. I'm sorry. So much wrestling history running through my brain. But she met the Rockers there. That's why her and Sean had a good camaraderie for a bit there. Medusa looked up to her. Medusa also looks still very good. She seems to have her head on her shoulders. Jared weighs in. Apparently he has some kind of cancer where part of his tongue is gone. So thankfully they had subtitles for him. I really feel bad for the guy. I don't know if that's something he dealt with early on in life. I don't know if it's something that got pronounced because of tobacco use. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not here to judge. I'm just going through the scenarios. He says he doesn't want any sympathy. He's living his life as best he can. Has stepmother, Pat. She appears at the end. He didn't know her well. He's still a bit angry she wasn't there, but he doesn't, at the same time, he doesn't harbor resentment because she did the best thing for her and for him. Started in the WWF, Kurt Hennig and Jesse Ventura put in a good word for her. I would imagine Ventura before Hennig, because Hennig didn't show up until 87. And Ventura had already been there for a few years. And so, you see these promos from Sherri. She was so good. Whether she was a wrestler, when she was the women's champion, beat Moolah for the title. Damn shame that Moolah didn't just turn to fucking dust right there in front of her kid. I know that sounds mean, but I don't really care, because Moolah was a pile of shit. She was so good on promos, though. Sherri was, not Moolah. Moolah was an idiot. The ex didn't like wrestling, but Jared was very fired up to see his mother there. But Pat, it's Pat, the stepmother, that is. Anybody remember the It's Pat stuff? Anybody? Is anybody old enough, or is that just so obscure? So, she was so focused on wrestling. She was emotionally wrecked. She obviously wanted to be there for her kid, but she was so focused on wrestling. Sometimes you sacrifice all others to do what you love. And all the guys loved Sherri. They did, how could you not? 1, she was legit tough. 2, really loved what she did. And 3, she was hot as hell. I mean, how the hell could nobody love? Looking back on her, it's like, my God, she always looked good from the first time she came into Memphis. And then, in the AWA, but especially when she became a manager. But she did there was a lot of partying. She liked marijuana. There was the coke, the drinking. At one point, she was up for 48 hours. Rockin' Robin talked about, a show at a state fair where she basically, Sherri was just looking past her. And I mean, even if you have never actually been high or drunk or whatever it is, however high you got, if you've been up that long and you're just looking at somebody, you would look right past somebody like you're just gone. You just have tunnel vision like Princess Diana in 1997. So the drugs were becoming an issue. She felt bad as she kicked Robin in the throat and trying to work with her, accidentally kicked her in the throat and she felt really bad, hugged her and all that. Transition to becoming a manager, I mean, let's be perfectly honest, there were a few factors as to why the women's division went south. The tag division could have actually worked, but the Jumpin' Wild Angels and the Glamour Girls got screwed over by Moolah. There's the Fabulous Moolah again. A lot of hatred towards the Fabulous Moolah in this episode. Not nearly as much as I would give her if that miserable bitch was still alive. As a wrestling fan, I can't fucking believe that she got away with so much goddamn stuff. Oh, but she was so influential. Yeah, so was Jim Jones. And quite frankly, Moolah and her defenders probably ended up needing to end up the same as the people that supported Jim Jones. Bit harsh, don't care. So, the women's title kind of got absolved. Like Rockin' Robin had won the title at some point. I don't remember Sherri ever won it back and it just got relinquished or just got, boom, put on the sideline. They got put on the sideline for a little bit, I think until Medusa won it. And then Medusa faced off against Bull Nakano, as Randy Savage coined. Randy Savage was great. He just wasn't a great commentator. Great on promos, though. Loved Randy Savage. Wore this because of the association between Sherri and Randy. She would match her gear, her look, makeup, however, for the person that she was with. When she was with Randy Savage as Queen Sherri, that was great. I wish they had shown a little bit more of that stuff. Because, my God, she fits so well with him. And you could tell they were just made for each other. I mean, because Sherri was intense, Randy was intense, putting it mildly. I love Randy Savage. He was a complicated individual. And then her association with Ted DiBiase, which didn't last long, actually, if you think about it. And then her association with Shawn Michaels, they skipped over when Jannetty tried to dive through the window to escape. What an act of cowardice. Will you stop? And she fit everyone like a glove. That is not a euphemism. I mean that with respect. She really did fit anyone that she managed. And then Bischoff talks about how, Sherri was so good at what she did, so gifted. People loved her because she loved what she did. She was so dedicated, and also because she was attractive, and boy, was she ever. And Sherri was willing to take bumps. You saw where Warrior press slammed her, and Randy had to basically run up and catch her, and Sherri nearly overshot. Because while I don't think that Warrior intended to do that, he also was not good in the ring. By the way, fuck the Ultimate Warrior, I'm glad he's dead. But, she wasn't always sober. The son doesn't recall seeing her sober. And, yeah, that stuff was sad. So, somas and other drugs. That was something that led to like a lot of drug testing. The steroid trial episode might actually be the most disappointing dark side. Just because nothing really got revealed and nothing was like, oh, it wasn't so scandalous. So, WWE did drug testing. They would let a lot of people skate on shit regardless of what they said. She got popped for pot of all things, and because she kept failing, she got fired. And this, excuse me, the summer of '93, I believe, she went Smoky Mountain Wrestling. She ended up, attacking noted murderer Tammy Sitch. And that's what she is, because she led to the death of somebody, because she was drunk and thankfully in jail. Hopefully forever. It's where she fucking deserves to be. So Cornette talked about this and then, said, having a cruise on Lake Havasoma. Wasn't mocking, Sherri, just like that's what so many people were doing. So, yeah, that Smoky Mountain Wrestling run didn't necessarily last long. She was there for Night of Legends, I want to say, 1993. That was August? I think August. And then she got signed to WCW. Bischoff didn't ask why she was no longer with WWF, whether she got fired or she quit. He brought her in because she was a big star. Her match in Harlem Heat. One, she looked incredible with them. She helped them out so goddamn much. She calmed down Booker T when Booker T thought he was going to get fired. When he said, Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. Edit that other part, because I am not Booker T. I am not Booker T's race, so I'm not going to even say that. Not even going to... You know what the hell the line is. And Sherri trying to comfort him, which was great. I would have loved to have been in Booker T's head to see how he was dealing with all that shit. Then again, because I don't think they would have fired him, because they actually have some unaired stuff where Colonel Rob Parker first let out Harlem Heat in chains. Yeah. I wonder who was booking there. Was it Dusty or Flair? It wasn't Watts, because Watts already left. But she looked great. She fit well with them, but she was also dealing with a lot of the pill issues and stuff like that. And the thing is, 49 in 2007, which means she was 39 when she got fired. She packed a lot into her goddamn career. She was 15 years into her career at that point. And, unfortunately, the biggest company, well, at the time, WCW was the biggest company. They were kicking the shit out of WWF. WWE, don't want the pandas to come with me with the chair. But Sherri did get let go because of pills and stuff like that and everything. But Medusa did point out, I'm not saying that she shouldn't have been let go, but there were so many others that were doing things just as bad, if not worse, than they weren't. Fair. Scott Hall and others. I'm not saying, by the way, that Scott Hall and Sherri, as far as wrestling talent, shouldn't have been, should have been on the equal thing with what Scott Hall meant to the company, but they could have helped Sherri out a little bit, but it was what it was. There was no rehab after when she got fired from WWF, just go, just go. You're fucking fired. And then she married a guy named Robert something or other, Robert S. Skrull, I think. Sherri didn't do normal well was a quote. She couldn't afford surgery. I think she had a back issue, if I remember right, so she was self-medicating. Robert apparently split the family or split her away from the family, I guess. They didn't go into that as much. I would be surprised. Just looking at the goddamn pictures, he looked pretty much like a putz. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't really care. But they skipped over her brief return in 2005 in the Kurt Angle Shawn Michaels feud, where the sexy Kurt, I make your ankle hurt, and that was good stuff. And Sherri still looked great. She still looked great. Then she had her 2006 Hall of Fame induction, where she, like, you know, Rockin' Robin even said, hey, and I know her name's Robin Smith, but I don't know her personally. Rockin' Robin ends up saying, well, you know, it's all over now. Like, others were saying that, like, that's the end of her career. Now, Sherri was great. She was attacking Bishop. Oh, wait, he's here. I thought he was gone, and all this stuff and everything. And Sherri was great. And then there were others like, I love you. It's like, I loved Sherri too, but just, fans should not be that disrespectful to goddamn Hall of Fame. Fuck everybody. Fuck that person who tried to run at Bret Hart at 2019 Hall of Fame. I hope that guy got so much CTE that he's in a fucking coma. I don't know what that guy's doing. I hope that he got jailed for something. That being said, Sherri was blackout drunk during that. You could tell. It's entertaining, but it's also sad. And then maybe she had mentioned she was playing with a puppy that her mom had, drinking sweet tea on the porch, and called her friend Kathy and said, hey, WWE's talking about bringing me back. Possibly, maybe, we'll never know. It would have been nice, actually, if they would have been willing to take care of her, get her surgery. She could have trained the other women. Hell, if she had gotten surgery and been able to take a few bumps, you could have seen Sherri at, say, Mania 25. She would have certainly made a better winner of the WrestleMania Battle Royal, the Women's Battle Royal, than Santino, who hates trans people but was dressed in drag. Imagine that. So then, unfortunately, June 15, 2007, she passed away, age 49. And so it was tough. The funeral, Jake Roberts was at a low point. Sherri was truly the best. People wrap up to how gifted she was. And that was the end of the episode. And truly, Sherri is one of the best to ever do it. For a period of years, she was really good. Really, really fucking good. So, the sad thing is her only match at Mania was in a mixed tag, teaming with Savage against Dusty and Sapphire. That's it. So many iconic moments. She was part of getting Liz and Savage back together. I didn't even mention that at Mania 7. Sherri's so good, though. So fucking good. Next week is Sandman. Anybody who knows my opinions on ECW, boy, you may not like what I gotta say about that, but we'll see how that plays out. A guy that certainly was the most, gimmicked wrestler in ECW. And once the bell rang, but he was over, he got a lot of reactions. So, yeah, how do you think Sherri's career will be remembered? What do you think, do you think that she could have had a second life had she been able to get her addiction and everything under control? Would she have been working with WWE for a bit? I think so, but what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Charles Rickland. I'll see you soon.